Hello, everyone. Let me start by asking you to picture this. It's 6 in the morning, and your alarm has gone off. You're groggy, and your brain is still in sleep mode. You're barely managing to grab something to eat just before rushing to catch the bus. By 7:30 a.m., you're still sitting in class trying to focus on algebra or science, when what you really need is more sleep. Does that sound familiar to you? Because if you're a student, chances are this is your everyday routine. But here's the thing, it doesn't have to be your everyday routine. Today I want to persuade you that public schools should start later in the morning. Not because we want to sleep in just for fun, but it's because it is a necessary step to improve student health, academic success, and emotional well being. So I'm going to be showing you how early school start times are harming students, how starting later improves performance, and how this change is not only possible, but it's also happening in schools across the country. Now, I'm a student myself, and I know the toll early mornings take on all of us. But I've done the research from medical journals, scientific studies, and educational policy reports. What I've learned is it makes one thing very, very clear. Our schools are out of sync with science. So we're going to start with the health side of things. Teenagers have naturally delayed sleep cycles. According to the American Academy of Pediatrics, adolescents can't naturally fall asleep before 11 p.m., even if they actually wanted to. But schools still expect them to wake up around 6 o'clock and be alert in class by 7:30. That's a biological mismatch, and we all know that. But what we don't know is the result being chronic sleep deprivation. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention reports that only 27% of high school students get the recommended 8 to 10 hours of sleep at night. The consequences go beyond just feeling tired. Lack of sleep in teens has been linked to the following: increased rates of depression and anxiety, mood swings and difficulty regulating emotions, weakened immune systems and higher obesity risks, and even an increased chance of car accidents due to drowsy driving. This isn't just inconvenient, it's also very dangerous, putting students' mental and physical health at risk every day. Now, we're going to look at what happens when schools do start later. A study published in the journal Sleep Health in 2017 found that students at schools with later start times scored higher on standardized tests, especially in math and reading. And these weren't just small gains, this is measurable improvements in performance. And why? Because when students are well rested, they can think more clearly, retain more information, and stay engaged. And it's not just about test scores. Teachers in districts that made changes say students are the following: they're more alert, they're motivated, more likely to participate in class, and less likely to act out or get into any kind of trouble. According to Education Week, teachers report better classroom behavior and fewer disciplinary issues, and that's just from shifting the schedule by an hour or so. So think about that. One change, it equals healthier students, plus better grades, plus better behavior, and that's powerful. Some people are going to say, sure, sounds good, but not realistic. And here's the thing, it is realistic. Let's take Seattle as an example. In 2016, Seattle public schools moved their start times from 7:50 a.m. to 8:45 a.m. And a study from the University of Washington found that students got 34 minutes of sleep per night, and that alone resulted in better attendance, higher grades, and improved overall mood. Then you look at California. In 2019, they passed a statewide law requiring public schools to start no earlier than 8:30 a.m. They adjusted bus schedules, coordinated with parents, and restructured after-school programs, and they made it work. So it's possible. It's very possible to do this. The National Sleep Foundation recommends practical steps like the following: phasing in the change over time, staggering start times for elementary, middle, and high schools, offering optional early bird programs for students who need to come in early. It's not easy, but it is doable. And the schools that have already made this change, they're seeing real results. So, what we've already talked about today, you got earlier start times that are hurting students' health mentally, emotionally, and physically. These later start times, they're leading to better grades, better focus, and better behavior. And this change, it's not just possible, because it's already happening in schools across the country. So, where are we going to go from there? What you want to do? Start talking about it. You want to share this kind of research. You need to write to your school board, organize a student group, start any kind of conversation that leads to some type of action. Here's the truth. Students are not lazy. They're sleep deprived. And if we want students to be healthier, happier, and more successful, we need to start our school days at a time that works with our bodies and not against them. So do not hit snooze on this issue. You need to wake up and see the reality that starting school later, it makes sense. Everything works out if that happens. All students will be a lot less sleep deprived. They will be more engaged in class. Test scores will go up, and teachers will not have to worry about any kind of issues whatsoever. They won't have to worry about disciplinary issues. They won't have to worry about students failing. It is doable. It can happen. When you take a look at these states that are already doing it, California, they set a good example. They're starting later in the day, and they have good results. So it's doable. It makes sense to start later in the day. Thank you for your time.